I'm gonna kill myself in front of you.
Elon Musk.
Amazing.
Amazing.
No.
That one priest who did a Nazi salute. Amazing.
For fuck, that is just
Calvin, what's his name? Calvin.
I don't know, Calvin Hobbes or whatever. Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, he's been a friend of the far right in the UK for a while now.
Yeah, he's
like his buddies with Lawrence. What's his name? Something
of Arabia.
No,
Laurence Olivier.
I mean, yeah. No, there's this one guy that ran for mayor in London. Was far right.
I remember who you're talking about.
What's
this has been ripped out of my memory.
The priest was kind of like was often in like the Spectator orbit, right?
Stephen
like
Lawrence. Lawrence Fox. Yes.
Lawrence Fox, I think, is who you're thinking of.
But it's not his real name, I think, or something like that. No, that's the other one. There's
Everyone
too
in
many
politics.
far right.
You're talking about, you're talking about the, like, what is it, Guy Fawkes, the blogger, the, like, Nazi British blogger, right?
No, Guido.
No,
you're
no,
thinking of
Guido
Fox.
yeah, whatever, same shit. I don't.
No,
they're
Lawrence
all,
Fox. He tried to run for mayor in London. He is the ex-husband of like Billie Piper, like this really famous British actress. And she's like very embarrassed that they share children together because he wasn't like that when they were together, apparently.
Divorce does stuff to a man. It makes him a Nazi.
That's exactly it. Jesus Christ.
I can't get divorced. Like, I don't care how, like, if the marriage goes bad, I just can't because it will just change me irrevocably.
I'll
like,
have to kick you out of the podcast.
I'll start running for mayor of London. And I mean, like, God. Billie Piper was like, if I'm thinking of who I'm thinking of, she was like
in Doctor Who.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like she was like a pinup poster in various mechanics like throughout the UK kind of thing. This is like a world class fumbling the bag. I'm a Nazi now kind of situation.
I have no idea who these people are. The UK doesn't exist, in my opinion. I spelt her name right to look her up. Who the fuck is this?
She was in Doctor Who. She's just like
Doctor Who means nothing to me. I didn't
because you're American. Let the Europeans talk for a second.
No, because there was like a millennial trend in like the 2010s where like Americans would get into Doctor Who to pretend that they were like
it was a Tumblr thing for.
And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm
Doctor Who luck.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
It requires a lot of time investment, and as soon as I watched it, but it was back when I had like access to the BBC. If I don't have the TV station just actually showing me the newest episode, I'm just like,
I mean, it's been running for like 60 years.
I mean, this is a massive drop the bag moment. Clearly, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Oh yeah, but going back to that one priest and his fake sect, so many different types of churches I'm being informed about. The Nordic Catholic Church, fuck off. No, that's not a thing.
It's just to not say Nazi, you know? Because hell? All Nordic people are just like, can you guys stop using like our culture to be Nazis? Please?
I'm sure there are like Roman Catholics in Scandinavia. And that's a type of guy in the same way that a Protestant from Italy is also a type of guy.
Yeah.
Like,
did you see? You saw, right, that tweet of the guy with the football kit? And it's like Rangers and Celtic like mashed together.
the Anglican Catholic Church.
That's so funny because like in the US they're not called that. They're just called the Episcopal Church. It's just kind of like everyone just knows that that's like just a different wonky form of Protestantism.
Yeah, you have to understand that like from the Irish perspective there are two churches and you've said them in the same sentence and that's weird.
Exactly. I mean I don't disagree with you there. It is a bit confusing, but because it's weird because there are Catholic churches that then are Catholic churches but that aren't Roman Catholic churches. So like the Armenian Catholic Church is a Catholic church just under some level of like a different jurisdiction, or like the Eastern Catholic Church. Yeah. No. The Ethiopian. No, they're Orthodox.
Oh, they're Orthodox. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they may have a Catholic church, but like, for example, like Egypt has a version of the Catholic Church as well. And it's the thing of that then, although they're not Roman Catholic, a lot of them will, if you're under the Pope, you're Catholic. If you're one of these other Catholic churches, in, quotation marks, and you're not under the Pope, you're not, it's the easiest cutoff, So if you see,
this is our understanding of it in Ireland as well. It's like,
exactly.
Who's your Pope? Answer, like, I've got a gun. Who's your Pope?
There's only one. There's only one option. It is either the Pope or
it is the scene from Pulp Fiction of just like, let me ask you again, who is your Pope? The fact that this will be his like fifth denomination doesn't particularly strike me as like, oh, what an ecclesiastical man. What a man.
Oh yeah, he was kicked out, right?
This is the four. Like, I don't know about the rest of them, but he's been kicked out of denomination number 4. And I don't know if he was kicked out of the others.
He's been a Nazi for a while. Like, I have seen him sadly around.
Some churches that's okay.
I'm sure. But that's the thing. Just, I don't know, just move to the US and find one of these Nordic Catholic churches that I'm sure.
Yeah,
but the thing is, he's mixed as well. Like, whatever. Like,
he's Jamaican.
Oh yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree with Uma that he's just moved to the U.S. and become Greek Orthodox. That's where like all the freaks go. Like all like Rod Dreher is now Greek Orthodox apparently because the Catholic Church was too gay for him or some shit.
Yeah. He went to Hungary and was like, now I'm in the anti-woke Catholic capital. What do you mean I have to bathe naked with a bunch of guys in a sauna? No, I'm Orthodox now.
Let me go back to writing articles about my gender dysphoria that I clearly don't have.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I did like the letter from the denomination when he was kicked out because it was like, I don't know, it was like so media savvy. Like, I was not expecting this from a random segment, like a random like church, like a random sect, to be like they basically said like, we do not know what is in his heart of hearts, but that does not matter because he clearly just did this salute to curry favor with the likes of Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and their far-right contingent
and Adolf Hitler.
But it's also just
it's a weird. They worded very weirdly.
No, I know. Yeah.
To not be like he did a Nazi salute. They're just like, we don't know what kind of salute he did, but it is for his buddies who are Nazis. So
reading that though, like, I don't know, it kind of puts some things in perspective of like, actually, I think the media is very happy to have these weird, nonsensical debates about whether it is or isn't a Nazi salute, which I saw one on CNN that was hilarious where one woman was just like, if it's not a Nazi salute, do it right now. If it's normal, just do it. Like, to the guy who was arguing, just like, why won't you do it? If it's so normal, why won't you do it?
I imagine...
It's like that one that was like, why can't we say the N-word? And the black guy was just like, then say it. Just say it. Say the N-word. If you want to say it so bad, just say it.
Just say it. See what happens.
Yeah. I imagine it being the sense so that like in a newsroom, for example, when like that like someone might die or whatever, you have like an obituary, like always like
ready.
Loaded, ready to go. And I'm imagining that there's like, we know this guy's absolutely off his fucking rocker. They maybe have had this in some way prepared for years, just being like, let's see if this guy just goes overboard. And lo and behold, he did I love how then someone described it as a Elon Musk salute. That was
a weird one. I like going back to that letter though, I did kind of just enjoy how they were like, we're not going to be bogged down into the debate of whether it is or isn't a Nazi salute. But it is just kind of like him trying to swear allegiance to a government that's happening right now. And you can't really do that when you're in a supposedly Catholic church. So
separation of state and church.
It's also just so weird too how like this shit's kind of come full circle, because remember, not in the sense of like Nazism, Hitler, this and that whatever, but like I think everyone kind of forgets that who's like the dapper Nazi who got punched in the face.
Oh, Richard Spencer.
Yeah, Richard Spencer during like a Trump rally thing. Like the dapper Nazi. In 2016, he did a full Nazi salute and just said "Hail Victory" in English, which is what Sieg Heil translates to. And like everyone pointed that out as being like, this is insane that this is like connected with the Trump movement. And now, full circle, whatever. What year are we? 2025? Yeah, a decade later. That's like normal, We're just going to be like, I'm just curious of how far and like, because that's the thing too in the video, the guy like everyone laughed at it, They're like, oh, this is like, we've like memed Nazism back into a thing. We have this like, and it's very odd too of how they're like because Uma pointing out that the guy's mixed race, of just like how like the American version of this is even weirder, because it's like it is like racist and whatnot, this and that, but as long as you're like part of like the meme team, then you can like participate in it. And it's like a bit, I don't know. It's like it really is like the most American version of that you would have Nazism. It just is annoying, and I hate this, and I want everything to stop. And I want to go back to not having to talk about this every week.
I think it's interesting making that comparison to like 2016, because Richard Spencer gets punched in the face because he's kind of like vaguely connected to the Trump presidency, which is to say like he supports it, and he's viewed as like the person who speaks to that new alt-right.
Didn't Richard Spencer endorse Kamala?
What?
Hilarious, if true.
I think so, yeah. I think he like has distanced himself from Trump or whatever. I could be mixing him up with someone else, but yeah. But go on, Kieran.
Google that while I'm speaking, because that's not true.
Yes.
Wait, no.
What?
What was that?
Meet Kamala Harris supporting white supremacist Richard Spencer.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That is nuts. But yeah, like I the thing that kind of worries me about Trump too is there just seems to be no appetite for resistance in the same way. Like the fact that there was this like large kind of like Antifa protest that occurred outside of like his inauguration and then led to someone punching Richard Spencer in the face. And like I still have in like my rotation on Spotify like all the punk songs that kind of came out during like the 2016 presidency period. And it's like, oh, that's still there. Like you can say it was kind of like chintzy or whatever, but like it happened. So I don't know. It's just the thing that saddens me the most is that there's like no appetite. Also, like just to make the comparison with Spencer doing like a Hitler solution, Elon Musk doing a Hitler solution, is Elon Musk is like kind of in the government, like presidential best friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean, yeah, Richard Spencer was going to be getting nowhere close to the White House.
No, and he didn't back then. He didn't need to or whatever. But like, yeah, it's a bit more formal now. And the thing that upset me with the priest doing it is like, oh, are people going to be copying this? Like, it's one thing of like Musk has.
Yeah, well, one Republican legislator had to get removed from office from doing it last week.
So,
it is a thing. Everyone, you know what? Like,
everyone's doing the new dance, sweeping the nation.
Yeah, it's like if you gave suburban white kids the N-word pass, they're going to immediately abuse it. Yeah. It's the same thing with the floodgates are open of like every it is. It literally every white person deep down inside in the United States wants to give a Hitler salute.
Well, no, I think there's an age thing, right? Like, I think you're right about the age distinction of like every white 14-year-old in America wants to say the N-word, but every like 50-year-old corn goblin who ends up in government.
Why do you think boomer dads are so into like fake histories about World War II?
Yeah.
They like the Nazis. They know like they'll like a boomer dad will tell you all the shit about why like like Hitler could have should have won this and that.
Yeah, the Soviets tricked him.
Yeah, exactly. By just having too many numbers. Yeah, that's that's the fucking problem. Winter was too cold, and the Soviet military was like quadruple the size of the Nazi military.
The famously easy to invade country of Russia.
Yeah, right. Speaking of Germany, should we just get right into it?
Oh Lord,
we have to talk about it. Just rip the bandage off. Yeah. What should I start with? It was a big week in Germany.
Well, hang on. First of all, we should start with hey, welcome to your weekly corner, Späti. Brackets funeral dirge. It's me, Kieran. I'm joined by Uma.
Hello.
And I'm joined by Nick.
Howdy.
You could have guessed that by now, probably. We've had like nearly 20 minutes of various horrible discussions already, and then we're gonna have another 40 minutes or so discussion of something else awful. So
I've been trying to avoid the awful this week, as in it's very hard to do so, especially when we have a weekly show of covering the awful. But on a lighter, happy note, I completely forgot that I had a Steam account and I had downloaded a bunch of like very old Star Wars video games. And it has been a blast of committing war crimes in the name of the Republic or whatever, instead of looking at real war crimes.
Yeah, so, in the name of a different republic somewhere in the Levant. Let's not think about that. I have a similar thing of just like I'm fully embracing the new Chinese century. With my Xiao Hongshu, and also just like finding out that Nintendo Switch does like Lunar New Year sales. So I just was like, a game I've wanted forever has like 80% off. I think I will buy that actually.
That's nice. I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart lately too. I'm horrible at it, but like on the Wii. And I am really tempted after, accepting the true supremacy that is like Nintendo gaming systems, no matter how silly that they are. Yeah. I've been tempted to get a Switch, but I'm also unemployed and broke. So that is the things that are preventing me from doing so.
They also announced the Switch 2, so that's going to probably come out before the end of the year. It's going to be reasonably priced for a new console.
I'm never going to buy that shit. You know that. It's just all like what ifs.
Hey. You know what? Hey, if this episode's going to bum you out, we're going to do a fun episode on the paywall. So get back there, listen to a fun episode, and help Nick buy a Switch.
And help me Nick get a Switch PS5, too. Please. Yeah. Because it's too expensive.
What you want the PS5? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
We can't afford that.
I got to be honest. I'm a boy, and I also want the PS5 more than the Switch. But it's I
said first.
I know that you did. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just like that's like
I'm the only girl on the podcast.
Yeah, no.
It is sexist if you guys get the PS5 before I do.
No, that's fine. You can have the PS5 first. I'm not going to complain. No, Kieran, you're not the girl. You're just like the child.
Weeb.
You're not allowed to. Yeah,
weeb.
No, you can't play the big kid games. They're rated M for mature, and
If someone boots up Red Dead Redemption, I start screaming, I need an adult. I need an adult.
Oh my god, I'm replaying Red Dead Redemption 2, and I keep accidentally like pointing the gun at people. And it's such a realistic game that like they get offended.
They don't love that.
They don't love that. They get offended and they start shooting at me, and I'm like, no, stop. And then my honor bar gets lower because I accidentally shoot someone. I'm like, please stop. I want to be a good person. And it's happened way too many times, and then my partner will walk into the room and be like, you're so bad. I'm like, shut up.
Do you know what that would never happen in? Super Mario Odyssey. Anyway.
True.
I don't know. The part where like Super Mario kidnaps all those people and holds him for ransom.
And holds them hostage in the bank.
You know, that part of Mario Kart where, you know, Mario just straps a load of explosives to his vehicle and just like, you know, blows up something in Northern Ireland.
I love that part of Mario. Anyway, we got to talk about Germany.
You got to talk about Germany.
We've been ignoring it.
Yeah. Where do we start? There was a big day in the Bundestag. 2 big days in the Bundestag, actually. Remember, the government still collapsed. Like, we still kind of don't really have one, but the government obviously still has its like seats and everything. So, this was then on the 29th. So yeah, on Wednesday, they had like a big back-to-back Bundestag session where the CDU kind of went in head first with a bunch of their migrant, you know, like I guess anti-migrant policies or anti-refugee policies, and just started, you know, shooting from the hip. And I guess before like outlining any of this, the irony of it is that they did like an honoring the victims of the Holocaust thing.
Right before.
Yeah, right before they're like, now by the way, like, yo, you liked that shit. Let's run it back to 1933, baby, and start it all over again.
This is like the German legislative equivalent of when people online say in Minecraft.
Yeah,
like
really.
It is just like, we're safe. We're gonna do like a bunch of like racist stuff now, but we did this beforehand, so you can't say we're bad guys.
Yeah. So initially I got this, so it's very complicated because a bunch of shit happened and I got it wrong at first when I like posted about it, and then I found out that was a non-binding resolution, but still we'll get to that. So let's just talk about the one that then passed. So the CDU, which has also kind of been a part of their like election campaign, have been having their 5-point policy for migration. All right. And these 5 points, which are pretty crazy, is immediate like shutting of the German borders. So and yeah, I don't know, which is very weird in a Schengen country because it's kind of like not the general policy of it. I mean, you obviously have countries like Hungary that kind of have that policy, or because like the Balkan route, but for the most part, unless like most Schengen members don't have closed borders, so it'd be closing of the German borders and a refusal of entry without proper documents to enter the country, which would pretty much like get rid of the possibility to seek asylum in Germany. So, and then the other 3 would be for like more just Matt's just calling for more deportations. What he then in another quote says that then that there should be daily deportations in Germany.
Right.
Kind of let's harken back to that Scholz piece where he said that we need to, you know, double time it with the deportations in that Spiegel interview. Matt's is taking that to heart and pretty much just like says in an interview that then every day there should be planes leaving Germany with you know, migrants. Calling for more federal help for deportations. So, you know, Germany never has money they never want to spend, but if you want to do evil shit, God Almighty will find Geld for you. And then one of the like the odder ones that then really gets quite like, if this all didn't sound bad to begin with, it'd be permanent detention for quote unquote criminals. And if you know anything about statistics when it comes to migration and crime, what defines a criminal is definitely always up for debate. In the United States, for example, you can be targeted for deportation for like a traffic ticket if you are a like migrant. It depends on the situation. It depends on you know, there is no real like rhyme or reason with how these things are organized within this type of system. So like 2 people could get arrested for the same crime who are both migrants, and one person, and it can be a non-violent offense or something, simply just using the United States as this example, one person could arbitrarily get, you know, put into one group, and another person could get put into a group for immediate deportation. So, so that one, so permanent detention for criminals until they're either deported or they freely choose to live Germany. Also with never, you know, the possibility to never return in the country. So
this is presumably for the criminals that are like not ethnic Germans, like not.
Oh, of
like
course
foreign.
not. No,
it's this for basically asylum seekers.
Yeah, anyone that then who is not. I mean, yeah, that's the thing, is that anyone who is, it I guess it depends, right? Because it mostly would then be targeting asylum seekers, like that's the first group. But there have been people who've been targeted for deportation that I know from like weird circles that are EU citizens. So
I just have like one question about that to my esteemed colleagues here who have better German than I do. Is just the way I've seen this kind of like using my Google Translate when they talk about this point is they don't really make that specification, but it's implied. And then it's implying that kind of like all criminals are like immigrants, basically. Because like, permanent detention for quote unquote criminals until like, and then deportation. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're just kind of implying that there are no like white German criminals. There are no like ethnic German passport holding criminals or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely not targeted at them.
Yeah,
sure.
It's definitely not. No, of course it isn't. It's just interesting the way they're using that language.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing too of like this is primarily being used to target, refugee, and asylum seekers. That's first and foremost. However, what this then can become and turn into, say, obviously, then what if then someone is then in the process or like legally lives in Germany, refugee or not, holds another passport, commits a crime in Germany. That is also, of course, a whatever the crime may be. And as I mentioned, like there are like people that I have, like not that I personally know, but that have been hit with deportation notices and they are EU citizens. And this is, which is illegal. You can't deport someone to the EU. They would just come right back into the country. But yeah, they have, and the thing is as well of that's a pretty easy one to fight as being illegal. Also because this person has never committed an actual crime. The one that then at least that I have in the orbit of people that then I know. They have not, they've been detained, but they've never committed an actual crime. I mean, the crime, I guess, is going to protests. So that's another big question that then comes up is that then, what then falls under the level of criminality, if you're, I don't know, like if you're an asylum seeker and you have, I mean, there are a bunch of stuff that then is connected to this with with like the Palestine movement. You could probably easily make a parallel. There's obviously then the stuff of that then, I mean, the reason why this whole thing came about was a response to like the knife attack in Zollingen where like 3 people were stabbed by a Syrian refugee. But let's just ignore all the other crimes that are done by Germans.
Yeah.
It is very much a nitpicky one.
You mentioned like the Palestinian solidarity stuff that happens in Germany. And I think if any of this goes into practice, that's who's being targeted.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only that. I think that then we can easily end up in a like the dumb, realms of the internet where they're like, they're canceling TikTok because of Palestine. And it's like, that's not only the reason, but
I don't think I'm not saying that's like the motivation.
No, of course.
They already have like a database of these people, basically.
Yeah.
They so then already have like, obviously they're not the only ones that are gonna be targeted by this, but the police already has like, some people lined up.
Yeah, the police are going above and beyond to, keep track of anyone and everyone in the Palestine movement. That's very true. But yeah, so that passed, and then so the historical thing about it, other than it just being psychotically racist, illegal by German, EU, and international law standards, which I guess is the only silver lining in this, is that then one court, one way or the other, is going to end up knocking this down, whether it be the European court or whether it be the German Verfassungsgericht, which, I don't want to put too much faith in the like legality of stuff because, stuff like that can always change. But yeah, so it was the first time since 1945 that then that votes were used alongside, like, the far right was massively instrumental in the voting process to pass.
That's something passed because of the far right.
Yeah. So the parties that then voted for it were obviously the CDU, CSU, who brought the legislation forth. AFD, overwhelmingly, every member of the AFD voted for it. The FDP voted for it, and last but not least is the Bundeswagenknecht, because they've also they've also endorsed the CDU's plans for migratory policy. Also, like, as I've mentioned on the election roundup that we had, like, BSV is very much in favor of, like, third state detention centers, like the Albania plan. Yeah. So really cool that the BSV at the end of the day is just somehow making horseshoe theory a real thing. I feel that the criticism against them has kind of been a little bit, like, avoided, because the obvious big story is, the AFD, the CDU pretty much, like, asking the AFD for votes, Matt's being, like, all right with it, and the so-called, firewall against the far right, which never existed. And I think that we have to just knowingly point that out. Like, broke very quickly right before the election, and so where to go from there?
I'd also say that, like, it's probably not, if you're, like, a member of another party or whatever, it's probably not good tactics to focus on the Bundeswagenknecht, because, like, either by doing this, she's either going to go, like, her party's going to go up or down by a percentage point, basically. Like, that will be the consequences she'll face. Whereas, like, I think everyone else is probably like, if you're the SPD and if you're being sensible, you'll want to attack the CDU with this.
No, for sure, absolutely. I mean, there's, like, the BSV is such a small player in this that they may not even make the government.
Same with the FTP as well. Like,
for sure, like that. That's not, like, those are obvious. But the thing that's interesting about this is that the CDU possibly put this forward because they've been, like, slowly slipping in the polls, and by slipping I mean that they've lost, like, 1 or 2%.
Yeah, I think also just, like, I was looking at the polling there, and one poll has been conducted the day after this vote happened. Not a huge amount of change, but I'm also just like, a day after is probably not long enough for anyone to be like, not everyone pays attention to the news the same way we do, is a good way of putting this. So, like, give it a week before you start to see any effects from this, if there's going to be any. But yeah, the polling for the CDU has been stagnant. Been, like, they've been hovering at the same percentage.
I think that the CDU is kind of like maxed out on who they can get. I mean, they're polling around constantly around the 30% marker. They're not really more popular than that. Like, in the general scheme of political things, like, yes, of course, if you go into, like, local levels, you see the CDU in some areas be like 50-something% or whatever. But on a national level, that's maxed out. And I think that then, I guess something that then we can maybe talk about a little bit later is the fact of that, like, members of the CDU have, like, left the party in response to this. And one of the most notable people, of course, to then who has not spoken a lot recently has been Frau Merkel herself, has come out against Friedrich Merz's position on this.
Yeah, she was kind of in the press quite recently because she released that book that was, like, defending her legacy, basically. And that got translated into English pretty quickly. That book, like, and this is where I'm super interested in this, because I'm super interested to see how much of, like, the tarnishing of Merkel's legacy vis-a-vis Russia, the invasion of Ukraine stuff, is actually real, or, like, a media kind of, like, fabrication type thing, or even more like an international reputation thing. Because I'm kind of curious to see what the impact of Merkel saying, hey, this is bullshit, what impact that has on the German people, like, especially CDU voters.
Yeah. I mean, it really, I guess I'm going to come off a bit biased here because although I dislike Merkel like overall with her like Merkel's tenure as head of the government for 16 years is definitely like kind of how do you export a lot of these migrant issues that Germany has? Remember like the Western Balkan plan and stuff like that was very much so that then Germany could kind of like reallocate a lot of the migrants that they had taken in, but also at the same time too, I mean the Wir schaffen das mantra was I think quite powerful in the reformation of then this supposed Willkommenskultur or like culture of welcoming that Germany has. At the end of the day, I think that then all of the backlash that Merkel received from her own party and from like the further right was overblown into the sense of I do think that there was a general feeling within the average German that they wanted to help. There was a much different vibe, I feel, in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
The obvious, problems of the actual implementation of Merkel's refugee plan obviously came down to the typical problems that Germany always has, of that there wasn't enough money allocated to it. It became more of like a symbolic thing rather than like an actual, tenant that the CDU could like lean on. And it also became one of the easiest things for the CDU to then distance themselves from after Merkel's, 16-year tenure.
I mean, I think it like the Wir schaffen das kind of thing does imply that like, oh, doing this is shit. Like this is hard work. We have.
I mean,
to
like
do it.
it is. I mean, saying it is shit is maybe a bit overkill, but Germany, I think, rightfully saw this as being a difficult thing to accomplish as a nation. With all of the like infrastructural problems that it was going to have. And I think realistically looking at it, I mean, taking in, I forget how many millions of refugees. I think it was like 1.7 or something like that million refugees or whatever, which is like, in comparison to the German population, not that many people. But in the fact of that, then it also like the European Union failed as a like governing structure in one of the only things that it actually has control over with like migrant policy, with like, Hungary getting their way, Poland getting their way.
Oh yeah, Christian-only Syrians.
Yeah. Or like, you saw then the sense of, I remember hearing from like Latvia, like 11 families were admitted into Latvia, one stayed because Latvia was so racist. I mean, I do think that then Europe as a whole should have been like forcibly beat into accepting refugees. Like fucking deal with it, you racist pricks, get over it. You are more disgusting than these people coming in from Syria are. Sorry. Like
like in 2014 the EU should have had like refugee Stalin. Like
they should have, and I don't give two fucking shits if like a random Nazi in Poland doesn't like that. I don't care, like your politics are more disgusting than the whatever, like, and the thing is too is that then if you would have been nicer to these people, you would have avoided all the fucking apparent like violence and quote unquote terrorism shit that was going to happen, because you're being nice. There's no reason for them to be like, oh, well, people are not welcoming here. I hate it here. Like, this isn't that difficult to like, I mean, the psychology behind it's like baby basic nonsense. If you're nice to people, they will be more accepting, If you're a cunt, they're going to want to not be a part of it. And how many people from Syria then like were in Germany and like, I fucking hate it here. I want to go back to Syria. Or you see this with Ukraine now, of people being like, I hate it here in Germany. I would rather go to an active war zone. Like, that says more about Germany than it does about then like the people who are coming here. No?
Yeah. I am. So there are kind of like, getting back to what's happened this week, I think there's two aspects I want to talk about, which is one we've already kind of started talking about, which is like, this is a campaign stunt. Like, as you said, CDU did this because they're not happy where they are at the polls. They want to be stronger. And yeah, go on.
No, it's literally just like a non-binding resolution. Like this is not a bill. This is not actually something that is going to happen anytime soon, hopefully. but it just shows what their, as you were saying now, Kieran, it just shows what their intentions are going to be for when/if they win the elections. And that's what's scary, because they're stupid. They're going down to AFD level. And that just shows that they probably won't be against forming a coalition with AFD as well.
Yeah. So, or at least like confidence in supply or something like that.
Exactly.
That would probably happen first before formal coalition. I'm going to put on my like optimist hat and say that
I feel that that's a bit too dangerous in these times, Kieran, but go on.
I'm putting on the optimist hat. You can't stop me. Everyone get down. He's got an optimist hat. So just because I tried to think about all these things from like all the different angles, like how could this go right for the CDU? How could this go wrong for the CDU, kind of thing, like, and how try to like convince myself one way or the other and see how convincing those arguments are. Because like there is an aspect of this that I think, so we talked about it in the election roundup episode about like the CDU having this identity crisis in 2021 about like whether they were going to try and continue the Merkel project or whether they kind of become like what they've always been historically, or what they've been maybe more on a state level. Like I always remember that one, like the head of NRV being like Kinder statt Inde, which was his campaign policy. If anyone doesn't understand that, children instead of Indians, like a great replacement campaign slogan, and that was the 90s. And then like, so like CDU was kind of like dealing with that, and it's very obvious that with Friedrich Merz they've gone down the route of let's be like the more business friendly or like more traditional version of the AFD. The and like,
you mean CDU?
Yeah, the CDU tried to be the more respectable AFD.
Oh,
let's try to do that. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Under Merz, and then like, like Schultz tried to be like the successor of Merkel. I kind of question how successful this policy can really be, because surely like doing the stunt of like, hey, we're going to be the AFD, look how much we're going to be the AFD, like how well does that work? Surely like the 30% of people who are still voting the CDU are probably belong to a camp who's like a segment of that has to be an anti-AFD vote. Like the CDU,
of course.
Yeah.
There's people who think that they're being anti-fascist by voting for the CDU.
I was literally going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said it before on this program, but like I like on Corner Späti and other podcasts and stuff, but like the CDU voter is such a weird person. It's such a weird base.
I mean, it's the thing too of like, where I will make that there is the correlation between the Palestinian movement and a lot of these things is that then these policies and this anti-migrant sentiment has doubled down since October 7th because of this, fake made up rhetoric that this is some like, this imported problem. They have targeted, remember, like everyone has kind of used this migratory backlash to then point out that we're fighting anti-Semitism. And it's like, hold on, sweetie, do you remember what country you're in? Like, you guys have a little bit of a problem yourself. And it's like the thing too of like Ali Schwarzer, who is like a old bullshit liberal feminist icon from the 68 movement who's turned into more or less like a crypto Nazi. And I mean crypto Nazi in the old term, not that they're a Nazi who's into cryptocurrency. Ali's
what time we live in.
Yeah. Ali Schwarzer, though, like on Holocaust or like, the liberation of Auschwitz Memorial Day, says that we have to fight anti-Semitism is a problem, this and that in Germany, and the only way that we can do so is by being stricter on migration. And it's like, lady, you're picking the wrong fucking day to be a Nazi, all right? Like, and Germany doesn't understand this thing it's like, well, we can I guess maybe they do understand it, but just in the wrong intentions. So that then it's like, well, if we encapsulate this discussion of being evil in the sense of like protecting, Jews or whatever it is, then then therefore we're doing the good thing. And a lot of this conversation has been surrounded in the sense of the quote unquote imported anti-Semitism thing, which is like not a thing. Like there's anti-Semitic tendencies equally amongst migrants as there are, you know, German-born people. There have been studies done on this. It is a made-up problem for a thing that like just kind of exists in society no matter where someone kind of comes from. But I guess that also kind of ties into, just very slightly to kind of also to mention this, is that then this week as well, the Bundestag has tried to pass an anti-Semitism resolution for, you know, institutions of upper education. So like universities, you know, high schools, that sort of thing, where the IHRA definition has to be adopted. And in order to pretty much like receive funding from, you know, the federal government for universities or for whatever, you know, type of research you're doing, this and that, you have to like be nice about Israel. So this is the thing of like, these are like related into one another of how this discussion is kind of being treated in Germany. It's
super related. There's two things. So one, I was reading about like the person who kind of like the people who kind of came up with the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. And like how so many of them regret what's happened, because the original definition, it was like
their fucking Oppenheimer moment.
Yeah, literally. Because in their original definition, they were like, they kind of stated they wanted that part to be like criticism of Israel can be anti-Semitism.
Yeah, of course. Like, they were like, no one's not saying that.
Yeah, but this is the thing. They were envisioning like you know, the Candace Owens kind of like I hate Israel person. But then like they've specifically noted that governments, particularly like the UK and Germany, are specifically ignoring that and are modifying the IHRA definition to be like, no, all criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. And that I just want to get that on the record, because I feel like that gets lost a lot of times, because I don't know, I think the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism has just become like just like a villain for people on the left, because, you know, it's being implemented this way. When it just seems like the people who made it were like, no, please stop. It wasn't meant to be used like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sense too that the I mean, at least in this country, and I guess you could make the argument for the rest of the Western world, the word anti-Semitism means nothing. You know, like it doesn't.
I would say that in Germany particularly.
Yeah, like it is devoid. It is devoid of all actual meaning, except for that you're being mean to Germans. You know, like the people who did the Holocaust.
The other specific thing related to this is Yulia mentioned in the group chat of like Holocaust survivors returning their Bundesverdienstkreuz.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because of this, like getting the AfD to help you pass votes. If that's focused on by like, again, I'm just here giving free campaign advice to the SPD. If you just focus on that, you could destroy the CDU. Like the CDU can only get away with this. The CDU and the AfD, mind you, and anyone else, FDP, Bundesverfassungsgericht, whatever, can only get away with this like anti-immigration bullshit if they're doing the whole speaking out of their both sides of their mouth of like, and we love Israel. Kind of thing. Like that's the only way you can get away with this. The only way that you can shy away from very apt comparisons of like, hey, conservatives and, you know, center left parties and stuff were doing similar shit in the 20s and 30s, and this is what led to bad things in Germany before. Please stop doing it. The only way they can like bat away that criticism. So the SPD comes along and say, hey, a bunch of Holocaust survivors didn't like that you did that. What's that about? Hey, anyone, look at this. Look at this. Like, it's real fucking bad. Before we end the episode, because it's kind of depressing. It's a depressing episode, and I want it to end. And I want Germany to end. We should talk about what they wanted to pass, but even that was too crazy for.
Oh yeah, of course. Which one should we talk about first? The bad one or the other really bad one?
The face recognition fucking technology one.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good one. The
data thing, no?
Yeah. So the CDU wanted to, I mean, because like Uma mentioned that then while the cops are collecting, these massive files on people who are being dissidents, which is very much a thing, the CDU wanted to set up like an entire like biometric scanning service thing to track people more or less in, conjunction with the migration thing to kind of make this easier to do. It overwhelmingly failed in the Bundestag. That's at least a good thing. That even like the AfD and FDP were like, this is too insane.
Yeah, but it's mostly because that could be used against everybody.
Of course, yeah. Like,
it's a whole like data privacy thing that Germans are really. It's funny though because they're so, for them it's so important to have data privacy, which is obviously good. But then the fact that your last name is by like outside of your house in like the ring thing, you can literally be dogs. Like anybody that knows my last name could just like go around looking for my last name and then know where I live because
it's how those like
it's
insane
outside on your house.
It's like how those insane Serbian nationalists found Gunther Fellinger's apartment so easily. It was because of this.
There you go. It's so when I moved here, that was like a massive cultural shock. I'm like, what do you mean that anybody that recognizes my last name can know where I live? Like that is.
Yeah, but Uba, that's not going to be a problem because your name is always going to be like Muller or like just like a really common name or Schmidt that everyone has, right?
Exactly, I still think the funniest last name I've ever seen was someone's last name was Kittler.
Hell yeah. just
like Kitty Hitler and that.
I love going
like
to
a furry name for
exactly.
Like a Nazi furry.
Yeah.
Or just like I bought a Third Reich from Kaufland.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other piece of legislation that is not really, I mean, isn't going to happen or didn't happen was the ability to remove someone's German citizenship if they have committed a crime of some sort. Also, the AfD and FDP said that is an infringement on personal rights, and that did not really go through. So it's pretty crazy that the CDU is even passing policies that there are like the far right is like, whoa there, what are you doing? Like you can't be doing you can't be doing this quite yet. Like buddy.
Yeah, it's which. Sometimes like those extra laws kind of make me feel like this could be spectacle, like that again, going back to the campaign stunt thing, that they're just like, but like that's also worrying in a different way, which is like, hey, the CDU, one of like the richest parties, definitely are doing their own internal polling, whatever, are doing this stuff because they think it will be popular, and they could be right.
And like the removal of dual citizenship in general just was not voted on. So that was like another one.
Basically undoing the citizenship laws that have just passed, basically. Yeah.
Specifically, again, the FDP and the AfD said they wouldn't vote on it. They said that it was too wacky.
Well, the FDP is specific, like they were, due to business investment reasons, they were massively in favor of it.
They were massively not in favor of it, actually, at the beginning. They were stomping their feet about it for the longest time, saying that Germany can't do something like that, and then they eventually kind of came around to it. Remember, the dual citizenship thing was supposed to be one of the very first things passed, and took forever for the government to actually agree upon it, because the FDP was just stopping it every which way they possibly could, until I think it finally clicked in their head that, Germany has a problem with attracting people to come into the country, and being able to then ease the restrictions for, getting a German passport. It kind of clicked like, oh, we can get more skilled migrant labor into the country then.
Yeah, like all you have to do is show them that like the richest guy from Malta is like a Chinese tech magnate.
Yeah. Show them graph go up and FDP go, oh, okay, makes sense.
Like the FDP being horny for like a golden passport. Like if you told me there was like an FDP politician whose whole thing was introducing a golden passport system to Germany, it would not be surprising, basically. So fuck, this is where we're at the moment. I think for me, the thing that is probably the most upsetting, even if this does come like with the Merkel comments, with like the realization that the CDU voter base is actually not, that could not be gung-ho about this, because you have to understand, like, they're the people who haven't decided to vote AFD already, so why do they keep voting you if you're just going to be the AFD? And they might take umbrage with that. I don't know who they would vote for if they decide to leave the CDU, but I don't know. Yeah, like, it could blow up. I think the thing that's upsetting to me is, like, this has been attempted. A certain, like, seal has been broken with getting, like, the AFD votes on something. And that there is possibly evidence to suggest that the German public at large likes this or is indifferent to it.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing because it's like I saw like a chart on, I guess technically a graph, not a chart, on what issues are the most important for German voters this year. And like number one was like Sicherheit, which I know it says like security or safety, but that can be interpreted like 100 different ways. So I don't know if they mean like national security, or if they mean like European security, or if they mean like, I mean, whatever it may be. So that I kind of didn't know how to react to it. But then like right below it was the economy, like by an overwhelming, like, yeah. So it was these things of, I do think that the migration was like on the like one of like the bottom tiers, like around like weirdly enough around the percentage of people that were voting for the AFD. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So, it's the security one, like that's one where I'd kind of like blame polling companies more than like as anything, because it's like, okay, I'm sorry. We at this point, if it's the number one issue, we're going to need to get a little bit more specific.
No, for sure, exactly. And I think
you're right that like the CDU can interpret that in different ways, and they've obviously decided like security brackets racist.
Yeah,
but like realistically, I think the Germans saying, "Oh, their number one issue is security," a percentage of that is racist. A percentage of that is like well-meaning. Oh, like I saw someone get stabbed on the TV and I'm a bit scared. Like,
and well, that's the thing of it too, is that then the like the far cry from reality that the media perception of like the metropolitan life in just not even in just Germany but Europe is the fact that then that there is such a right wing push. I mean, not that there hasn't always been this, but then like every time the like smallest like I'm sorry, like coming from a country that then has like serious crime problems like the United States, Europe could be as dirty and dingy as it is, and I've never felt unsafe here. You know, like, and the thing of it too is that then like safety and crime and stuff like that are very much tied to poverty. You know, a country like the United States that has an incredibly high rate of like violent crime compared to other countries also has like massive wealth disparity. There's not like it's pretty fucking clear how and why that exists, and the fact that then that people have just been like destroyed by neoliberalism. You know, yes, you have the firearm issue too in the United States, but like just as a whole, the data doesn't line up for how obsessed German media is about violent crime, you know?
Yeah.
And if that really were the case, then, you know, let's look into something like drunk domestic violence in Germany, you know? Like that is a statistic that no conservative in Germany would want to look at, because it would probably, one, they're probably doing it, and two, it's the thing that then it would like probably cause for people to be like, maybe we should like be like, it would probably cause like bans on alcohol if people realized how high violent crime was in Germany based on
Bavaria secedes. Bavaria joins.
Bavaria secedes, yeah. But like, yeah, Germany has like one of the highest rates of violent crime based on people being drunk in all of Europe.
I am like, sorry, I just thought of like a kind of, you know, cursed but somewhat funny future. All right. So let's say polling doesn't change. CDU wins. They view this strategy successful. They implement these like non-binding resolutions as law. the only actual effect it has is we end up deporting a bunch of American soldiers from the Ramstein base.
Perfect. I'm down with that. That's, not all deportation. All right.
It actually turns out the only non-nationals in this country committing crimes at any meaningful rate were just a bunch of drunk cadets.
Yeah, who can't be punished in Germany. It's like illegal to punish them. They have to be punished.
No, Mertz has changed that.
I mean, fine, yeah. If you would take away the bizarre amnesty that they get because they have to be tried on a court-martial system that then typically will ignore. So yeah, the way that it works in the U.S. military for people who are stationed here, if they commit a violent crime against someone who is like not American, they get away with it 100%. If they beat up an American, the American who gets beat up gets to decide what's done with them.
Public execution.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining the future where like weird cloistered suburban Germans, aren't irrationally scared of the name Muhammad, but are now irrationally scared of the name like Tag.
Yeah, Kyle.
Kyle.
Tristan.
Yeah. Oh, the neighbors have moved in next door. Hi, I'm your new next door neighbor. My name is Chad Dipley. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Gunner. Bryson.
Christ. Yeah, so this has been a bad episode, but we had to talk about it. And hey, a little tidbit, a little bit behind the scenes. Nick has entered into our group chat with the name Bad Nick. That's kind of funny.
Well, it was a bad week. Bad Nick.
Yeah. Not your finest one though.
No, well, last week was AI Nick.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Well, I not all of them are going to be like bangers. Kieran, so the thing is that I'll see the title. Yeah, I'll see the title of what it is, of what the episode is, and then I'll base my name around that because I have to use it on the like incognito mode. Because if I log into the regular one that I have on Chrome, because it doesn't fucking work on Firefox, which is the better browser in my opinion, I just log into Kieran's automatically, so it doesn't work. So, a few weeks ago was Lennon. I don't know.
Yeah, we have behind the scenes, gang. We have our own little fun. Just so you know, does that make you happy? Does that cheer you up about all the things we just talked about? We have a bonus episode. You can catch it $5. Like, how do you end this? How do you end this episode?
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Is how you end the episode.
Divide. Germany should once again be divided. Vote for me.
Smaller Germany.
Smaller Germany.
Yeah, you could do what the like the two-tailed dog party did in
Hungary. Yeah.
Yeah, where they had the campaign posters up for like a smaller Hungary, and it was like
agreed.
Points of like, yeah, like have you even visited any of these towns? Let's be realistic. Just give it to Romania.
Yeah. Not like, this is you. I don't care if you're proud of your little tiny place in Germany. That's fine. That's the thing too. People in Germany care more about the little small place that their little shit town that they're from than they do about Germany. Great. What about if your shit little town was its own little country? Think about that.
Yeah. Your passport could say Ein Dorfkind.
Oh God!
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, exactly. That's the solution. Oh, I'm from the country of Hereford. Great, don't care.
Yeah,
where the fuck is that? Yeah, stand for the
now
national
we stand for the national
anthem.
Ich bin ein Dorfkind.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we will catch you on the bonus feed. Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.